I find today's readings a little confusing when you first look at them and you take a first glance at them. We go from Ezekiel describing a vision to Jesus talking about his impending demise, causing the disciples great distress, to them needing to pay their taxes. Really? We're going from all those different things? How do all of these to relate to each other, and what do we take from them? What can we really get from this? So in this confusion, is it really confusion, or is it more responsibility, or is it a little bit of both? Ezekiel, if you ever read the book of Ezekiel, you'll find that he really likes details. And sometimes he can get lost in them. He gets a little bit too caught up in the background and the details and describing, and he's very descriptive. This reminds me of someone who is easily distracted when explaining things to me, and it's someone I've known for a long time and very well. She is very detail-oriented, and she has to give me all the fine details. She can't just tell me a story. And I really don't need to hear the fine details, but that's the only way she knows how to explain things. She will start with, "You won't believe what happened to me today. I was on my way to meet a friend, and I was driving down the street, and I was passing by the coffee shop, the one down the road. Oh, did you know that coffee shop now sells sandwiches? And they have those sandwiches in a lot of different types and flavors and kinds, and you get it with your coffee. Oh, are you aware? Did you know that the coffee's on sale this week at the grocery store? We should go down and get some." I think you get the gist of it. I think you know where I'm going with this. It can get a little confusing, and it's hard to follow exactly where she's heading with this. That's what I found in today's readings. I was under the impression that this person who does these descriptions put all these readings together today. We start with Ezekiel describing his vision. He does it in such great detail that sometimes we can get a little bit distracted. He's very colorful, and he's really explaining it. And we're trying to figure out, what is he talking about? When in reality, all he's really doing is describing the glory of God. When someone does this, you start to ask questions about the details. Not about the outcome, but about the details. And we get a little caught up in the details. And this causes us to lose focus on what is important to us. Yes, the details are nice, and they make it sound really nice, and they give the color, and they give the story a little bit of color and a little bit of meaning. But in the end, you really can't see the forest for the trees. When we look at God, or better yet, Jesus, isn't that exactly what we do? Get lost in situations, especially when we're right in the midst of them? We tend to concentrate too much on the fine details that we lose the bigger picture. Wouldn't you say that? I know I do that sometimes, especially when I'm getting mixed up with things. I'll worry about the details, and I'm not looking at what the big picture is and actually what the outcome is. Which brings us to the gospel, with Jesus telling his disciples that he is going to be betrayed and put to death, causing them great distress. And then suddenly he changes the stories and starts talking about taxes and about paying taxes. You will also find that this story is only in the Gospel of Matthew. And I think it's only there because I think Matthew liked to talk about taxes because he was a tax collector. So why not write about taxes? It kind of puts him in that general, that's something he's comfortable with and what he knows about. Even though this is a very short story, we are given a lot of details that we really do not need. Nevertheless, those details make us think and ask questions about the details. Jesus knows what's important, and that's what we should be focusing on, and that's what they should be focusing on. He is telling us to do the exact same thing. It's more about being responsible than anything else. Keeping our attention on the task at hand. He could have easily avoided paying the taxes with all of the reasons that he gave. And if you go back to the gospel, he gave a lot of reasons of why they shouldn't have to pay the taxes. However, Jesus knew that this might cause a problem and this might cause scandal. And so he didn't want that to happen. He didn't want the attention to be put on them for the wrong reason. So what did he do? they went ahead and they paid the taxes because they didn't want everything to go astray. How often do we do this in our own lives? However, with us, we are more likely to argue why we shouldn't have to do something, rather than taking the high road and just actually doing it. I think we would have been the people saying, why? If we can get out of paying the taxes, let's get out of it. But that is not what we are asked to do. That is not what God or what Jesus is asking us to do. We were never asked to be detractors, or in this case, distractors. I know that it is easier said than done. It's always way easier to come up with reasons not to do something than to just go ahead and do it. Jesus came to serve, not to be served, and he asked the same of all of us. That is the responsibility he gave each and every one of us. We have to be an example for others, but in the right way, in a loving and giving way and a caring way. We don't want to be remembered as the people who were always causing the problems. We strive to be responsible citizens in our parish as well as our community. I think that's what we all want to do, and in the end, and we hope to do. And Jesus is trying to direct us in that direction. Jesus' ultimate act of service to us was his giving his life for us. So knowing that that's what he was willing to do for us, what is the least that we should do for him, or what is the least that he can ask of us?